left, right, out. It's been a little while, but had some things going on in personal life. But we have the Durham report. I've read through it. I know it's been out there for a little while now, but I've read through it, and there's some key takeaways. I'm sure you've heard a lot. If you haven't got a chance to read it, it is an interesting read. It's nothing. There's nothing really in there that we already didn't really know, that we haven't really explained. But some of the mechanics and details within it are what is interesting. How explicit. It's just one thing when we kind of can read that and we can see what is happening. We tell you that. It's another thing when you see it written on paper in an official document by, I don't know, somebody. But anyway, you shouldn't be shocked at any of this stuff. What is, I guess, shocking to read is some of the things. Like, basically, the whole thing was made up. It was all made up essentially by some dude at a bar, or at least when it comes to Steele getting his information for his dossier. The FBI did lackadaisical. They were lackadaisical in just vetting some of this information, and even when they knew the information was bad, they at times paid a certain individual money as an informant. They whitewashed a lot of things. They planted articles in order to refer to articles to get on the FISA, to get FISA court authorizations. They failed to update FISA applications. They, I think there was one prosecution for this whole thing that had to do with that. But there's also talking about the origins of a lot of this from the Clinton administration. Pretty much those guys lying their little asses off to the FBI itself. Nothing happens to them. Pretty much the whole basis for the Mueller investigation was blown out of the water, and the whole 3 years down the tubes, and people's lives destroyed, particularly like a guy like Michael Flynn. But at the same time, I know that just popped in my head because I was thinking, well, all the stuff with the Clintons, that even in this report, is, nothing happened. Is still happening to them. How do you skirt the law? How do all these guys lie, subvert an FBI investigation, or do a number of other things, and somehow they get away with it? The FBI, pretty much looked past the Hunter Biden stuff. They looked past all these little connections between the Clinton administration and a lot of nefarious characters. They even pulled the investigations a lot, or gave them advance notice. It's crazy. So the Durham report kind of gives you a little bit of light. And what it does, putting this in writing, is like you actually see the levels of bureaucratic corruption manifested in this. I mean, you can kind of visualize and you can conceptualize it a little bit better than me and some other jabronis telling you this and telling you, look at this. This is why it is. But then you have the media telling you another thing. So, I mean, it's just the way a lot of us work, especially if you haven't broken through the veil yet, or red pilled, or whatever you want to call it. But this also shows you how the media takes something. They're not vetting it anymore. They're pretty much just propagandists perpetuating a state narrative. There's a few out there, obviously, that are do some interesting work, but for the most part, they just blab whatever they get from the state. If not, they're almost working in lieu of the state at times, or for the majority of it, they're just parroting these narratives. If you're not convinced the FBI needs to be, at the very least, reformed, that's the other thing. So in his thing, he's talking about pretty much the sense of integrity, or ethics need to be reestablished in the FBI. I'd say just get rid of them, especially the CIA. You think this is bad, the FBI? There's a whole litany of history regards to the Central Intelligence Agency is what they've done, especially abroad and even domestically. And that should be the first thing that should go. The FBI, at the very minimum, needs to be reformed. Leadership needs to be completely fired. I'm open to suggestions on what we can do to even maintain such a organization. I think that they could be do good work, and they have, and there's definitely good individuals working in there, but the overall bureaucratic nature of this and their politically selective enforcement or investigatory there's a little hair there approach seems to now have led us into a state of just complete distrust of these institutions, especially the intelligence organizations. So anyway, that in itself right there is worth the read, is getting a glimpse behind the veil of how these work. Now, I will say that nothing seems to be coming of this when it comes to whether the Clintons or these other various characters that have lied or manipulated us, or manipulate the vast, a large majority of us, wasted years, pretty much. I would say subverted an administration. I don't know if it's on the verge of trying to topple them, but it's definitely criminal and nothing seems to be happening. One of the things you got to realize is that Durham was put on this. He was it by Barr. Barr was one of those characters up there with Bolton. I was like, I can't believe Trump put this dude in there. He's got more connections to nefarious characters than a mob guy. This guy was linked to the Clintons. I mean, there's other things. We don't need to go into that. But he's the one who put Durham. Durham was there for a reason. Granted, you're going to see certain truths, but you're not going to get the whole story. You're not going to get those pushes into some of the information. Like, he could have gone further into the Clinton stuff, which he didn't. But he kind of glazed over it. So anyway, I think he had the authority to. He should have done it, or should have recommended certain things happen so we could have got some more information on that stuff. Now we go into the other news, I guess, which I haven't even spoken since Tucker got waylaid off of Fox. And I've told you about Fox News forever. Fox News is a box keeper. They keep you within a certain parameter, certain left and right lateral limits of acceptable opinion. Not the right opinion all the times, but acceptable disparities. So you have a guy on maybe a left kind of opinion and a right kind of opinion. They lull conservatives or libertarian-esque people, or Republicans, into a sense of almost, I don't even know how to put it. They just try to guide your opinion and control you, put you in this box, and then they get you riled up, and then you get riled up, and then they kind of push you the other way. But we knew this was happening when you heard about, I've said it before, rumor mill, the Murdoch family at certain parties are just not so happy about the way Fox News is, the kids especially, and now that they're having more say, now they got Tucker out, they're pushing other policies, and you're seeing certain things happen. And there's nobody challenging narratives anymore. Now where you got Sean Hannity, the wall banger from Michael Savage, that's credit to him. But he literally is. He's kind of a stooge. I think he's probably a good personally, but I mean, he just parrots the same state propaganda or whatever is, and you can really see how they shift on things, especially the Hannity types, on certain opinions, how they're trying to corral certain groups of people, which on the right, trying to corral them, and you see that. Like, I've noticed it. The first time I really noticed it was the subversion of the Tea Party movement by Karl Rove and those characters. But you got to really pay attention to that. So Fox News is gone. Just, if you're still watching Fox News and you're not red pill, you need to get away from that. Watch it after you've kind of been inoculated with free thought, so you can see the propaganda that's even being peddled there. And all the people that I've gotten into some serious debates about Fox News, and finally they're seeing that side of it. And of course, nobody ever says, "Oh yeah, you were right." There's been a number of things, but they start just coming towards your view, and I see it like every year. Things start shifting, and people that I used to argue about, even though we might agree on a lot of things, now they're starting to see that. Like, and the FBI thing is a perfect thing, the corruptibility of these institutions. A lot of these people can't believe it, but we've known it for years. It's not something new, but it is new how far it goes and how there's certain things you just didn't do in those organizations, and now those Rubicons have been crossed. But this has gone on, this type of corruption, and politics has gone on for a number of decades, and it's even more so in the Central Intelligence Agency. But anyway, I guess we'll stop talking about that, and we'll go into the markets. The markets, clear, if you've been paying attention, I've kind of, before the last time I was still in short positions, I have some of those longer term ones, and then I have some other things like gold and a few various other funds that I run around in, mainly because I know what's happening in the system. And despite what the market is doing, we understand that it's a facade. What the market is, it's a manipulated facade. We know that like certain prices are manipulated. We know that underneath the foundation of everything economically is being eroded in an almost exponential manner. Just even anecdotally, if you pull your head out of the sand and walk around and actually talk to people from various strata of life, you can see, or just be very open your eyes around going to certain stores, certain areas of towns, certain places in the country, and you can just see the erosion of any sort of economic vitality that America was known for. And that all goes back to, I always say, the debasement of the currency, a central node of having a central bank, expanding credit with and there's all kinds of things that are going on. We've gone over this time and time again, but all I'm saying is you can't base the market is not any more a gauge to the economy as or I mean, I don't know. It's just not a gauge of the of health of the economy anymore, and you're starting to see the things that I've talked about really amp up. Whether it be the dollar reserve status, you see different countries now aligning with each other, calling out now blatantly that they are countries that you haven't heard in the past. Of course, we've always heard the same characters talk about this, and those allegiances are becoming even more entangled and tightened, whether it be Russia, China, and India, Saudi Arabia, and the like. But you also have South American countries, which in the past, a little bit of angst towards the dollar, but they've always been on that board. Now they're openly calling for the dismantling of that reserve and a replacement of some sort. There's a number of countries that are trying to get in the BRICS deal, and they're trying to get away from us as fast as they possibly can. There's we've gone over the various reasons for that, whether but everything is lining up that way. So you can't be, just because there's a calm now, you got to prepare for the storm, is essentially what I'm saying at this point. Doesn't mean that it's going to be Mad Max or anything, but the collapse will be different than what most are anticipating. Not the end of the world type things, but the standard of living and just what Americans are typically used to. So you prepare accordingly, you might do all right. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, the Durham report is something that needs to be checked out. It kind of all meshes together with what we see with what's going on at Fox and other media outlets and the way they've reported things, especially all the alphabet networks and the papers, how they've reported things over the years. This report kind of gives you a little bit behind the veil of how these things and government institutions operate, and it's not good. But hopefully this opens a lot of people's eyes and gets them to really see that reforms that need to be the need to happen, and become more liberty minded and unfortunately lose faith in these institutions, because there's no faith to be had. I would love to trust them, but unfortunately they've proven time and time again that you can't be trusted, and trust has to be earned at this point. But anyway, talk to you later. Peace.